Rhett and Link. Will it novel? Let's talk about that. So, as you may or may not know, I'm a huge Rhett and Link fan and a huge fan of Good Mythical Morning. As you can tell by my Good Mythical Morning mug and my Good Mythical Morning t-shirt. I've watched pretty much every episode of Good Mythical Morning from the past 3 years, I'd say, and I've seen most of the episodes before that as well. Along with that, I greatly enjoy reading fiction, so it only makes sense that I would read the book from Good Mythical Morning. Not from Good Mythical Morning, but from its creators, right? So there are two reasons I decided to read this book. First of all, because Rhett and Link wrote it, and second was because it's said to be similar to Stranger Things. And of course, the book I am reviewing is The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek by Rhett and Link. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing this novel in this video by Rhett and Link. And I'm a little nervous, or I was a little nervous to review this book and to read it in general because I was afraid to be disappointed in it. Fortunately, I will say it was pretty good and I enjoyed it, so I'm not disappointed. But Rhett and Link, if you are just happen to be watching this somehow, some crazy coincidence or chance that you're watching this video, know that any negative criticism or criticism in general I have in this book is against this book is not personal at all, of course. And honestly, if I didn't say what I didn't like about this book, that would mean I didn't respect you, if that makes sense. Because I'm saying what I don't like, it only shows that I respect you. It's time for reviewing The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek. I hope my armpits don't reek. Alright, so let's start with writing. I feel like this is the main thing that people are going to be concerned about going into this book. At least I kind of was. Because Rhett and Link aren't writers. It's not what they're known for. I'm sure they're, decent at writing or whatever. I'm not doubting their writing abilities, but it is a worry because most authors spend a lot of time writing. They spend a lot of time practicing it, and yeah, that's just how it is. They have a general interest in it. I'm not saying Rhett and Link aren't interested in it, just saying that's usually the case, right? But for this novel, Rhett and Link did have help on it, I believe, and I think they were more the creative and storytelling aspect of this book. They didn't do so much of the writing as far as I'm aware. They might have done some of it, but I know they definitely had a lot of help in the writing department. Now, that being said, I think the writing is okay. It's pretty okay. But that's just my opinion. Some people might think this is a perfect writing. It's very subjective. It's not saying it's good or bad, definitively. I'm just saying, to me, it was fine. It was really easy to get through, super easy to understand. There was really nothing slowing it down, no overcomplicated sentences or anything like that. My biggest criticism for the writing is the descriptions and the lack of details in the descriptions. I just feel like I can visualize things pretty well in this book, but it's not particularly vivid. It's not like watching a movie, as they say. Like some books, I feel like I'm watching a movie and I feel like I'm not reading. And that's awesome. And it's okay when books don't do that, but I kind of like to feel more immersed in my stories, and I just wasn't super immersed. And I know for some people, having lots of detailed writing makes them less immersed, and I'm not saying this book needed flowery writing or something. I just would have liked a little bit more descriptions of the setting and stuff like that. And it's always important to remember that descriptions aren't just visual stuff. I want to know more about the smells. I want to know more about the temperature, the feel of things, and I don't really feel like I can feel all that, if that makes sense. Especially with the mysterious aspect or this mysterious side of things. I'm not going to tell you too much about that because I don't want to spoil the book. But yeah, I feel like there could have been more, and it would have made the mysterious aspect of this book even better than it already is, and it is pretty good, but we'll get to that later. It could have made that part of the book even better, and it would have bumped this book up a lot for me. There's still other issues, but yeah, that's the writing. It's okay in my opinion. It's fine. It's decent. It's could have been a lot worse for sure, but in my opinion, it could have also been better. Now, I'm realizing that I didn't mention what this novel is about. The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek is a fictional story. It's not real by any means, and I would consider it young adult science fiction or fantasy. Science fiction, fantasy, same thing. Not the same thing, but kind of the same thing. So yeah, it's very. I don't want to say it's super similar to Stranger Things, but it has a similar feel. You know, young kids, strange things going on in the town, and yeah, trying to figure out what it is. Stuff goes wrong. They gotta fix things, I guess. That's basically this book. I'm not gonna tell you more than that. I'm sure it says way more than that on the back description, but that's all I'm gonna tell you because I think that's all you have to know. The main characters are basically Rhett and Link. Speaking of the characters, let's talk about the characters next. Like I just said, I feel like I was reading a story about Rhett and Link, just represented by Rex and Leaf. Coincidentally, they have very similar names. I wonder if that was done on purpose. Who knows? So, these characters aren't really deep, in my opinion. Again, all of this is my opinion. It's not definitive, it's just how I feel, right? I'm talking about how I feel about the book. Anyway, I just don't feel like the characters were super deep or really complex in any way outside of them being Rhett and Link, right? It did give me some insight to Rhett and Link, of course. I feel like I know them a little bit better because I think they express themselves a little bit through these characters. But they aren't really battling complex emotions or complex issues within themselves in this novel, which is fine. It's not a bad thing. I don't, that's okay. I'm just saying, they're not super deep characters. Some of the other characters are even more shallow, I would say. Like, the parents are incredibly, incredibly shallow. Like, they're not shallow and, like, shady, but, like, flat. Like, they are just super uninteresting characters. Definitely not the point. There's probably, like, 3 or 4, maybe 5 characters in this novel that are actually have some personality. Maybe more than that. Maybe I'm not giving some of the characters their respect. But in terms of emotional depth, very little of the characters have that, and it just doesn't. There's just not. There's a level of seriousness that isn't there. That is a result of underdeveloped characters, in my opinion. It is a short. It's a pretty. It's a short novel. It was really fast to get through, so there's not a lot of time to develop characters, but that's just how I feel. I think there was an attempt to make the characters deep, or at least have some underlying emotion or emotional attachment that, like, they were trying to make the readers emotionally attach to them, and there was an attempt at that. Just wasn't done well, in my opinion, and a lot of it ended up being fan service or just simply dry. But we'll get to the. Dang it! I'm sorry. Stay. We'll get to the fan service stuff later. We'll talk about that later. But I just think the characters were okay, but like the writing, they could have been a lot better, in my opinion. Before I continue, I want to take this chance to ask you to buy my own book, The Cards That Are Dealt. It is a young adult as well, but it's contemporary. It's about a secret gambling club in a high school and how a high school student uses this club to attempt to save his grandmother from lung cancer, and to prove his doubters wrong. If that sounds interesting, check the link below and check out my book. Give it a try. Yeah, it was my first book, and I tried very hard on it, and I think it's pretty good. Also, if you don't mind, hit the like button and subscribe. Let's get on with the review. The plot of this book is probably the strongest aspect of the book. It's definitely the point of the book, other than the fan service, which again, I'll get to that later. But the point of this book is the mystery in the town. That's the soul of what's happening in this story. There's a mystery that is very interesting and fun. It's very unique, and I will say there is some genuinely freaky parts of this stuff that's happening. I won't go as far to say it's like gruesome in the way that Stranger Things is, but I definitely think some of the idea behind this is a lot. I don't know if scary is the right word, but just makes me feel uneasy, I guess. But more uneasy than stuff in Stranger Things, I would say. It is again very unique idea that I like a lot, and I think the writing is a lot of the reason why it didn't end up being as good as I thought it could be, like the mysterious aspects and the plot. But still, it's very exciting, very like easy to get through, and yeah, it was good. The plot was good. I'll say it was a little rushed at the end, but I think the whole book feels kind of rushed. Like this could have been a lot longer of a story, but I understand as being new to fiction, you don't want to risk boring your readers. But I feel like the ending was particularly rushed, and I think this was done to keep the suspense up. You know, they didn't want to take time to slow things down. They wanted it to be, going fast paced till the end, and I understand that, and I understand that this is a very fast paced novel. I just think it could have slowed down a little bit to let some reaction come out, but overall, I think the plot was very well done. I think it was put together well. It had a good, very nice build up, and a great climax and a good resolution. Maybe not the best like ending, but still, I think the plot was very good. Now to the other big question about this book: is it good beyond being for people who are fans of Good Mythical Morning or fans of Rhett and Link, or both? Is it good on its own? I will say this book is tremendously better, in my opinion, if you're a fan of Rhett and Link. I think if I wasn't a fan of Good Mythical Morning, or I didn't know who Rhett and Link were, this would have been a very bland book, because the characters are so, I don't want to say they're bland, but yeah, they're bland if you don't understand the meaning behind the outside meaning behind the characters. They're pretty bland feeling characters. So yeah, I definitely think it's better if you're a fan, but at the same time, if you aren't a fan, I think you could still like this book. If you're a huge character reader, I don't know. I'd be careful there. But if you like mysteries and mystical things, dare I say mythical things, I do think that you'll still enjoy this book despite not knowing who Rhett and Link are, if you are that kind of person. But largely, I do think that it's better if you're a fan. It's way better. You'll understand the references more. There's a lot of little Easter eggs in there that I think you definitely will miss out on if you aren't a fan. And yeah, it's a book for the fans for sure, but I think it still is commendable on its own. So that's how I feel about this book. I don't really have any strong feelings about it. I can't say you have to read it. I enjoyed the I enjoyed the details. I felt loved as a fan that also enjoys reading, but it didn't really appeal to the reader in me, which is fine. It's okay, and I'm very proud of Rhett and Link for writing it. I think it had a lot of very strong parts to it. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I think they shouldn't have been so worried about keeping it short. I think if this was just a longer book, I think it could have been a lot better. But that's just me. And I really think it's awesome that they wrote this book. And yeah, I recommend it if you're a fan. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think of this book in the comments. If you're planning on reading it, if you're planning on reading it, if you have read it, or if you're not going to read it, and let me know why. Let me know if you are a Good Mythical Morning fan. Don't forget to be your mythical best, and you know what time it is.